So, how many of you were born between 1995 and 2003? It's the majority of everyone in here. Great. How many of you know how to independently file your taxes? How many of you know how to take out a loan from the bank? How many of you know how to pay your mortgage or successfully set up a meeting with other people? All right. Now, for those of you that do know the skills, imagine that you are at this point in your life now, the early 20s, mid-20s, and you don't know any of this. You are now at a disadvantage as to the majority of your peers at this age that do know these things. Hi, I'm Bethany McCormick, and today I'm going to discuss the importance of life skills and why they should be taught in school. First, I'll discuss how early taught life skills have enriched multiple communities. Second, I'll discuss the required material to teach in South Carolina. Third, I'll discuss the importance of emotional intelligence and how it goes into the workforce. And last, I'll discuss the preparation for the new generation, Generation Z, and how we need to prepare for them in the workforce. Okay, so early taught life skills can enrich communities greatly. According to an excerpt from Red Hat Volunteers Help Lee Life Skills class celebrate another year from the 2017 book Catalyst, a life skills course offered an insight to the workforce to a special ed class at Lee College. These students were given an opportunity to interact with others with special needs and an insight as to what they can do for themselves in a workforce. Along with that, Tech Directions, Volume 75, published in 2015, Forget Shop Class, New Orleans is trying to train Black youth for a constantly shifting job market. This discusses how the Trafigura Work and Learn program targets at-risk African-American youth to teach them job skills for their future. These programs center on long-forgotten extracurricular courses such as woodshop, cosmetology, and home economics. It gives the children insight on what to prepare for in their futures, and it gives them a new hobby to try out. And in their words, it keeps them off the streets. And it also helps them figure out what they want to do after graduation instead of just being left stranded, confused. Life skills courses guide children and bring their attention towards their futures. So this is the required material to teach in South Carolina, and I personally believe it's not enough. As an elementary education major, I'm familiar with the required materials. And according to South Carolina Teaching Certification Licensing Guide of 2019, this year, certification degrees, the basic regulations are, just to be required, is a bachelor's, pass both practice exams, and complete a background test. I looked on Coastal Carolina's elementary education page, and it specifies that to complete their program, you must have 2 Englishes, 2 maths, and a foreign language, and 2 educational classes. Only 2. This is not including the biology courses, the government courses, the art courses, and other courses you must have on the side to keep your credits. And these also must be C's. So personally, I think if you're going to be a teacher, you need to know how to manage a classroom, and 2 courses personally is not going to cut it. So today's young adults are lacking emotional intelligence. So according to the relationships of internalized problems with emotional intelligence and social skills in secondary education students, gender differences, it discusses how today's youths are underprepared for adulthood and the workforce. We need to make sure kids are completely competent in all areas of life before shipping them off out into adulthood. They need to be emotionally prepared, physically prepared, mentally prepared. So emotional intelligence is basically the correlation between emotion and cognition, or thinking, which allows a person to modify to their environment or what surrounds them. So a man named Goldman defined emotional intelligence into 5 sections, which is knowing your emotions, managing your emotions, self-motivation or finding what motivates you to do things, knowing others' emotions, and creating lasting relationships. And you can divide the problems that you find in your life to internalized problems and externalized problems. So internalized problems are anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, or as you could call them, emotional problems. And it's mainly prevalent in females, but that does not mean they can't be found in males. And externalized problems can be seen as bothersome behavior, conflict, and aggression issues. That is 2 to 4 times more prevalent in males, again from the same study. So, causes and consequences of emotional intelligence, or poor emotional intelligence in this case. Home life, school culture, friendships, and peers influence a young person's emotional intelligence. It can either have a positive impact or a negative impact. So, consequences of poor emotional intelligence or poor problem-solving issues are social desolation or isolating yourself from people, or poor academic conduct, which can lead to failure. And whenever you're preparing to go into a college and which will prepare you for your job, failure is not the best thing you want to see. So, to prepare for Generation Z's entrance into the workforce. According to an e-journal of social behavior research and business published in 2014, the newest generation of that time made up 1/3 of the U.S. workforce. We can go on and say they make up a little bit more than that now since it has been 5 years since this was conducted. The working age of America has begun to change. It's adapted to the background of its workers. All generations respond differently to management styles and environments and motivational techniques. Bosses are now creating new strategies based on humanistic perspectives to identify their strongest and weaknesses in their employers. Boomers are retiring, so Gen X is now the majority of the working class. Because of this, the job place has gone from a hierarchy to a diverse and independent playing field. The same studies notice that Gen Z is very competitive, and they have life plans often set out by late high school. The Journal of Accountancy's excerpt, Get Ready for Gen Z, published in 2017, 2 years ago, discusses how a fraction of Gen Z have now graduated from college already. They're different from millennials because they were raised during the recession and very money-driven because they witnessed what went down in the recession. They're also influenced by FOMO, which is fear of missing out, and want all of the life experiences. Communication comes quick and fast to them, and they have learned to be prepared for whatever life throws at them in a technological way. But how have we prepared them for life? It seems that for Gen Z, they have learned from mistakes surrounding them or the success around them. So, today I've discussed the importance of life skills of the youth and why it should be taught in schools. And to further this, I've discussed how life skills course impacted a low socioeconomic division of Louisiana and a special ed class. I also investigated what this state requires of a future teacher in the curriculum offered at the local university, Coastal Carolina. Along with this, I demonstrated the importance of emotional intelligence. And lastly, I discussed how Gen Z is the newest to enter adulthood and how they still need life skills. Today, I encourage all of you to take an opportunity to teach a young person in your life a skill they could use for their future. Okay, so does anyone have any questions for me today? Yes, Tito.
So, how would a school afford this?
So, my idea of what they could do is an extracurriculars course, or like their agenda for that is ever changing every year, or at least it was at my school. One year they could offer an emotional intelligence course or a life skills course to teach children how they can regulate their emotions or prepare themselves for life. Like they could learn how the money system works in America, how to pay a bill, how to take a loan out and pay for their mortgage. Just basic stuff to set them up. Any more? Yes, Sean.
Okay, so how, as an adult, would emotional intelligence be applicable in my life?
Okay, so you're 21, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I hope by now you know what your emotions are, you've created relationships, and you know other people's emotions to some degree. So in a workforce, you would learn how to manage your emotions because I know coworkers and people surrounding you can upset you sometimes. And you have to figure out what motivates you because money isn't always going to cut it. It has to be other forces driving you at that point. Is there anything else anyone wants to add? Any more questions? All right, thank you guys for your time today.